Hi, today I'm going to be making Pong in Scratch, because I don't know how to use any of these. First, gotta delete the cat, don't want that as my ball, nor my paddle, obviously. Next I need to create a completely black background like this for maximum Pong immersion, and I need to make the sprite for the paddles, which will just be a white rectangle like that. Of course, not too big, not too small, I'd say that's a decent size, all you really need. Next I'll make it so when the game starts it'll go to this default position. Now I just need to give it control so the W and S keys make it move up and down like so. Now as we can see it works, but the paddle can move off screen, so we need to add a maximum and minimum height to it by only allowing the paddle to move up or down if the Y position is above or below the maximum or minimum height. Now with that done, I can just duplicate this paddle for the second player and make that controlled by the up and down arrow keys. Now two players can control the paddles. However, it wouldn't be Pong without the most important part of the game, the ball. Otherwise it's just two paddles the video game. Now this is going to be the tricky part. First I'll just make a white square the ball. I know balls aren't usually square, but this is Pong, so it works. Then I'll make it start at the center of the screen like this. Now here I'm gonna make some new variables called X direction and Y direction. And what this will do is determine which direction the ball is going and at what speed. I'll set the X direction to +10 and the Y direction at +5. Next what I'm going to do is make a loop that will constantly change the X and Y coordinates of the ball by the amount set in the variables that I created. Next I'm going to make it so that when the ball touches the color white, i.e. the paddles, it'll multiply the value of the X direction by -1, which will make the ball travel in the opposite direction. So here's how it looks now. We can see it bounce off, but the ball is now stuck at the top. Not a problem, just gotta program a maximum and minimum height for the ball so that if it goes above or below these set Y coordinates, it'll then multiply the Y direction by -1, which will then make it bounce off the walls. Then I'll use the same principle with the X coordinate, but instead make it so that if it goes too far left or right, the ball will go back to the center. So now I need to make two more variables for the player 1 and 2 scores and add a point to them whenever that player scores. Another thing I'm going to add is a slight delay to the ball appearing. And it works. How about that? Now I could just quit here since the game is definitely playable. However, it would be more fun if the ball were to speed up whenever it hits a paddle. So that's what I'm going to do. But right now the program is set to multiply the X direction of the ball by -1 whenever it hits a paddle. What I can also do is multiply it by 1.05 so that the ball increases by 5% each time. Well, now we can see the ball is definitely moving faster. Just gotta make sure it goes back to the normal speed after a point gets scored. Also, to make sure the ball doesn't go through the paddle, I'll set a maximum speed for the ball as well. And there we go, that's as fast as it goes. I'll also make the Y direction of the ball go a bit faster on each bounce too, same way I did with the X direction. This time I'll make the Y direction increase by 2% each time. Another thing I'm going to add is a delay for when the ball appears so that it doesn't start moving instantly as soon as it appears. And there we go. It totally works now. I mean, it doesn't really work as well as real Pong, but it works and I'm good with that. Well, we're just about finished now. The last thing I want to put into this game is, well, sound. I've never used sound in Scratch before, but this shouldn't be too hard. So here's the sound library. Just gotta find a bunch of good sounds to use for when the ball appears, when the ball gets delivered, when the ball hits a paddle, and when the player scores. So that's a bunch of sounds that I need. Or I can just reuse the same exact sound with just a different pitch. And there we go. That's Pong in Scratch. All finished. It's not super accurate to real Pong. It's not perfect. The ball physics isn't really the same. But, I mean, that's all I know how to do, alright? What do you want from me? Okay, now. Okay, so I'm done. Now what?